SMT Nation, we back. Nation, this is an interesting read. Never thought about it from this perspective, but I think it's worth taking a look at. Verizon's network team isn't laughing about AT&T's outage. Interesting perspective, right? A competitor. What are their thoughts on the outage from AT&T? Let's take a look at those elements here in this video. The article, Monica Alvin, Fierce Wireless. I'll provide a link that will be in the description. Ways to support us? You can always like and share our content, and then subscribe for more if you're new here, and turn on the bell notifications so you know whenever we do upload content here on the channel. All right, so the questioning must have been happening at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, in which all the carriers are there. There's a lot of vendors. There are a lot of tech companies, and you get all the telco people coming together, and you get analysts and people that are doing research for the industry, and those that cover the media part of it, asking some questions. And one of the things that came up was the AT&T outage. And in a question to the SVP of network planning, Adam, I think it's Copy is how they pronounce it. He's the SVP of network planning for Verizon. And his response to the outage from AT&T, quote, "In general, we don't wish outages on anyone." So here's why he said that. That is, number one, a politically correct answer. Number two, I think he would appreciate someone taking that same stance if it was to happen with Verizon. And outages have happened with Verizon. And sometimes they're small scale, citywide, sometimes they're regional, right? But national, where lots of customers are impacted, like the AT&T one, I think he understands the gravity of that. So I think he's going to be sympathetic to that. And I think that's kind of his angle, right? And what's also important is, the secondary quote he offered, which is, "We also learn from each other," right? And that quote's important because if something was to happen on the system side and they share vendors, they would want to know what it was that triggered it. What was the cause? Could it have been avoided? If so, what steps could have reduced the impacts, possibly, what have you. And those are things that I'm sure they're going to get access to, behind closed doors. They're not going to obviously be in contact with AT&T on any level. It's not how competition works. But that's, kind of what Joe Russo and, the technology folks at Verizon are going to take. That's their route. And I think not only is it politically correct to speak in this tone, I think it's classy. And I think also it's something you can relate to as an operator. T-Mobile doesn't want to experience these things anymore. They have in the past. Verizon's experienced them, AT&T now. I mean, these things are going to happen, and it's tough. Now, the carriers obviously will gladly take the customers of those that have had the outage. They don't switchers, right? But I think that's what it is. I think it's the sympathetic nature of the sentiments that makes it so people understand. Nobody's rooting for anybody to have an outage. In fact, you are a very strange and unusual person if you're hoping for another carrier to have an outage, even if you have a vested interest, like say you're an investor or something. If people that you might need to reach might be on that network and you won't be able to access them, right? So that just to kind of have that proper perspective, I think, is important. I feel blessed. I think the community here within the SMT Nation is very objective. They understand these things, but there's some unusual folks out there who I think just don't understand these types of situations. What's your take on it? What do you guys think of Verizon's stance? What do you think of the tone to all of this? Sound off in the comment section below. You all, the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.